More stories about the narrow gaugers, huh? So who is the entry going to focus on this time? Well, it could be anyone, really. No one is suggested in the title, so anyone's whistle could be at fault today, I guess. Although fans may have a slight suspicion as to whom. Probably the grump with the headmaster playing the organ.
Peter Sam had steamed all through the night to bring Duncan his wagons. But as he approached the junction, a low-hanging branch knocked his whistle off. This meant he couldn't work until he got a new one.
Aw, jeez. First, we get to see Peter Sam return only to be put out of commission. Secondly, I guess Duncan worked his way out of the slate quarry. That was fast, considering how badly he messed up 2 stories ago. Anyway, with Peter Sam out of a whistle, Duncan felt like he could boast about his. Even though no one cared, which made him cross.
"They're jealous of my fine whistle," Duncan huffed, as he steamed through the countryside. He whistled at some sheep, but they were too busy eating grass to take notice. "Bah," said Duncan. "I need to whistle louder and longer next time."
I would not advise that, dear Bumble Duncan. A whistle's use is only for warning purposes, and seeing that Elizabeth already knew you were coming, there was no point to sound it.
This time, Duncan whistled as loud and as long as he could. Said the bull. "Stop that nonsense, Duncan," Elizabeth called.
I'm curious if that bull was related to Champion from Season 4's Bullseyes. Thankfully, Duncan's whistle did not set the bull off, but Duncan was determined to set something off, even if it was Terrence. Awesome.
"He'll get the loudest and longest whistle yet," he chortled to himself. And he blew so hard, his whistle shot off like a mighty rocket and landed out of sight.
I did say he was going to set something off. Yeah, he set off his whistle to the point of no return. Well done. Now, without him having a functional whistle, Duncan was as useless as Peter Sam was. Although, again, it's not Duncan himself who was blowing his whistle. It was his driver. So really, it's him to blame. But that's something I'll leave behind me. Thankfully, someone did come up with a solution.
"Leave it to me," the headmaster said. For the rest of the day, Duncan didn't make a sound. But the headmaster's organ did.
And that's not a bad idea at all. It's also probably the first time fans will ever get to see fluid motion on the figurines. They've never moved that smooth. It's always been choppy. And I'm not saying it's bad, that's just how it was. Duncan should be very grateful, because if that headmaster wasn't there, he'd be going nowhere. Although I'm not sure how safe it is to be riding on a flatbed with no walls.
Finally, Duncan finished delivering the last of his freight cars.
I'll repeat, I don't know how safe it is to be playing a loud organ on the edge of a ridge on an unsecured flatbed. This headmaster is a daredevil. Especially when he challenges the fates with such an appropriate song as Coming Around the Mountain. And thanks to him, Duncan was able to make it back safe and sound. And the other engines found it to be quite funny.
"You really did well to deliver your goods without a whistle." "Do you think so?" "Absolutely," said Peter Sam. "Even though an engine's not an engine without a whistle." "Or an organ," chuckled the headmaster. And all the engines tooted back, except Duncan, who just grinned.
Makes sense. He could have just yelled, "Woo!" like he did from Rusty and the Boulder. That would have been funnier. This episode was nice, even for its simple story. While the backbone was of a Gordonism, it had elements of false turns. For example, some may think Duncan setting off Elizabeth's bull might have gone somewhere. But it didn't. Instead, Duncan just blew off his own whistle, making him turn into exactly what he talked to Peter Sam about. And though Duncan was lightly made fun of at the end, it was caring enough for Peter Sam to have his back anyway. Seeing Terrence again was a cool cameo. I'm getting confused as to where Terrence stays, though. His locations have changed over the seasons. Music was adequate. Much of the time the Skarloey Railway theme is played, which would be understandable. The addition was the headmaster's song as he plays as Duncan heads home. Locations were even better. We not only got to see 2 new places like Strawberry Grove and the Skarloey Railway Depot, but we even had another returning site like the Mountain Line. And that is it for Season 6. We are just chugging along here. While there were some really interesting stories, this season has been plagued by Alec Baldwin's lack of effort when it came to character voice consistencies. And while some did grow on me, it felt too little too late at times. However, this doesn't exclude the new engines added to the roster, along with their signature music. It's definitely not a bad season, just one I think could have been better. And Season 5 set the bar pretty high anyways, so it had a steep hill to climb. Now onto Season 7, a period in which fans began to see even more changes to the show. And this season alone had already displayed parts of it. The tone has dropped drastically from Season 5, and the way at which the characters and their surroundings look are much more polished. Now as for narrators go, here's how it's going to be done. I have been on a US streak for a good while now, but I also want to end the model era on the UK dub since I began Season 1 with the UK. Plus I want to give the UK dub a fair shot. So in order for this to work, I will be starting with Michael Brandon for Season 7, then Michael Angelis for Season 8, Brandon for 9, Angelis 10, and so on until we hit CGI time. And just to clarify, I will not bust the seasons on voice consistency from now on, being that each season will swap. And if you don't like it, sorry. I want to be fair for all narrators. Next episode is Emily's New Coaches. Thanks for watching.